Talofa lava. Welcome to Pasifika Waha. In this episode, we talk to Lemauga Lydia Sosene, chairwoman for the Māngere-Ōtāhuhu local board within Auckland Council. Lemauga talks about her journey into local politics, the role of the local board and council, the importance of leadership, advocating for her constituents, and celebrating the great stories and people, not only in Māngere-Ōtāhuhu, but the wider South Auckland.
Lemauga Lydia Sosene, Chair, Māngere-Ōtāhuhu Local Board, Auckland Council.
Service to the community, it's part of who you are through your work with the church, public service, politics. Can you talk to us about your journey into the political sphere? What drew you to this? Why politics?
Some time ago, I had an opportunity to apply as a staffer, as a parliamentary staffer, and that was quite some time ago. At that time, I was raising my children with my husband, and it was an opportunity to get involved with politics. Just a few years before, I got probably a sense of calling, had an epiphany moment. I wanted to do other things, but I was still drawn back to politics to be involved, and I wasn't really sure how. But when I became a staffer, it became quite clear, and through probably stroke of good luck or calling, my mother at the time when she was alive, she really did play a huge part in pushing me to the sector. So I was curious and I wanted to know a bit more, but I started off as in the office of an MP, a government minister at that time. So that was the beginning of journeys. But I probably didn't want to play a lead role. It was more important at that time that I play a support role because I was raising a family. So local government is, the key word is local. Central government looks after Aotearoa, whereas local government, Auckland Council, is the biggest territorial local authority.
Right.
And so the authority, or Auckland Council, is governed by legislation and policy to look after the interests of Aucklanders, which at the moment I think is about 1.6 million across Tamaki Makaurau, from some of the suburbs in Northland all the way down to Franklin. So it's quite a wide geographical area and the most populated in the country in terms of the local authority. And so it looks after, Auckland Council looks after all the things like infrastructure, the roading, community facilities, libraries, which include libraries, recreational facilities. And what is attached to that is a number of services to do with the environment, trees, parks, and the like. And so the ratepayers of Auckland, you may be a business, you may be a resident, or you may be a farm. All of those different sectors pay rates, which is similar to taxes, but taxes is taken out by central government, and that gives them a budget. Auckland Council charges rates, and every household or every business would pay a portion accordingly, and that gives the revenue to run Auckland Council, basically. So the role of the chair of a local board, Auckland Council has a co-governance model where there are 20 councillors who look after Tamaki Makaurau, who look after the region. And that's 20 councillors. And so we have two. We have Councillor Alf Filipaina and Councillor Whananai Fessel Collins. The local boards, so my area is to look after Māngere-Ōtāhuhu, only that suburb. And it's my population, or the population of Māngere-Ōtāhuhu, has approximately just under 80,000 citizens, and in that the population, that's where the local board would govern local decision making. And so there is, as a chair, it is my responsibility to do a number of tasks. And so I would be leading the local board, and on this local board we have 7 members, that includes myself. And the role of the chair is to provide a strong governance leadership role. Mm-hmm. It is also in regards to the reputation of the local board. You are the media spokesperson of the board, and it is a full-time role. So like any other role, the hours are 40 plus. So on any given week, it would be 5 days of the week, and then usually on a Saturday. Saturday is pretty much like a working day for me. Community events, attend a number of gatherings, and the chair would always be invited to many of the public gatherings, community forums, events, etc. of Auckland Council, specific to the space in Māngere-Ōtāhuhu. But I'm also invited across Tamaki Makaurau, and because I am Samoan, I am a Pacific woman, invited to many Pacific and cultural events. And so the breadth of that enables the chair to attend or not, or give apologies. And it's a very serious role in terms of the decision making, and you are leading the team to enable your team to provide information that is received from within Auckland Council, right. And secondly is the ability to debate and come up with a resolution, recommendation with your team, and usually it's the chair that would be the spokesperson of the local board. So I see a number of issues in that we work in a framework where Auckland Council provides different service levels according to the assets. One of the things that I would regularly look at due to reports coming over my desk or the workshops that I attend every week, and I would be attending governing body workshops where we are included in terms of the co-governance model. And then I would also be chairing or attending workshops and meetings to do with a number of issues. And so that involves a lot of hours, reading reports, checking information. And then you've got the demands of the community who expect to see their elected leaders. And so in Māngere-Ōtāhuhu, with a population of 80,000 or just under, we have the highest youth population in the country. Right. So of that 80,000, just under 50%, probably sitting at 48, 49%, is our young people, ranging from our babies, our preschoolers, all the way up to about 24 years of age. So that's about 48% of our population. 48, 49% are a youthful population. Added to that is the diversity. So for the population breakdown, 60% of that figure that I gave to you earlier is Pacifica, which provides very interesting diaspora. We have probably about 17, 18% Māori. The rest are Balangi ethnic diversity. So that gives you a picture of our population. What comes with that is the very increased social and economic issues of this community and the challenges that we have on the ground when delivering services. So things like our parks, our pools, and we have 2 in Ōtāhuhu and Māngere, our libraries. Those are like community hubs where they're very popular. We have worked hard to ensure that those services that are provided on many of those places are free, up to a point where the pools, Auckland Council has a policy of 0 to 16 is free. In Māngere-Ōtāhuhu, we have asked all of our residents to pay one targeted fee per annum, which is around about $36, and that allows our parents and adults 17 years and over to also go in for free.
Right.
That has huge benefits. The parks are important. We have a lot of sports and recreation groups. So community facilities has been one of our challenges in that they are not all state-of-art. Some of them are aged buildings, and so we spend an enormous amount of resource and time trying to make sure that our programs are keeping up with the upkeep of some of those facilities. But we are behind because we inherited a lot of, aged buildings. Some parts of our community, there are too many takeaways, so it's sort of bad food with health and well-being of our community. There's just too much readily available. So those are just some of the challenges. And then because Auckland Council is in charge of transport, we have a number of conversations with Auckland Transport around buses, around walkways, cycleways, around the use of bus services for our community, affordability. We want better roading, we want better lighting, we want better footpaths, and these are all the sort of asset things that are in Auckland Transport are in charge of, which is a council-controlled organisation. So that's sort of the bread and butter of the work that I do on the ground with the local board, day in, day out, and a number of community issues. So from my personal perspective, and I've been in this role now for 10 years, for a decade, and I don't look at South Auckland, and although I strongly advocate, I strongly put forward the positive stories, not just for Māngere-Ōtāhuhu, but I am a real stickler for South Auckland in that there are far more positive stories of our youth, of our families, of our local businesses, of our community. But the media unfairly, in my view, voices or puts on the podium just issues that are highlighted here, specifically around violence, education, ill health. And yet we have those challenges just like other communities. But the pulse or the heart of South Auckland with our tangata whenua, mana whenua, Māori, our strong Pacifica cultural diversity, our ethnic communities. There is so much happening, positive stories with young people, with children, with families, with services, with leadership.
That was Lemauga Lydia Sosene. Thanks for listening. Visit our website at www.pacificawire.com. We welcome you to like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to the full podcast with Lemauga on Spotify. Whaawhitai, mai manawia.